Welcome to Buckets, coming to you from the Tommy John Home Studios. My name's Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. This is your best bets episode for NBA Finals. Game 6 between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. The Thunder 1 win away from their first title in franchise history. No, I will not give them the fucking Sonics titles. Joining me today, Sean Little at Chicago Flow from MSG Networks. I got Brian Fonseca at Brian Fonseca NY on Twitter, in the Action Network app. Check out his YouTube page at Brian Fonseca, Fonsecca. I like Brian's name very much. You can catch him on YouTube. He talks WNBA. He talks NBA. He had a great breakdown with our guy Brandon Kravitz talking about the Orlando Magic adding Desmond Bane. Go check that out. He also combat sports, all sorts of great stuff. Check it out over there at YouTube. We will talk about Game 6. We'll talk about where the spread's at, where the money line's at, big series picture. Are the Thunder going to get this done? Are we going to 7? And we've got sides, props, totals, the whole shebang. Everything we talk about can be found in the award-winning Action Network app. Best way for you to track your picks. You get to track our picks. You get to follow Brandon Anderson's futures. You get to follow Sean Zerillo on baseball. You get to follow Chris Raybon on every sport that he touches. You get to follow Sean. You get to follow our guy Sean Kerner, and every time that he puts anything in the app, it moves. You could be first if you sign up for an Action Pro subscription, where you can find all of our information, where the money's moving, sharp action, bet lab systems, all sorts of cool stuff. You want to check it out, go become a subscriber. Go to actionnetwork.com to sign up. Make sure to leave us a like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube at youtube.com/the Action Network. Did best bets a little early. Usually we go the day before the game. But my daughter is actually having a roller skating party for her turning 9, and would have been,
which sounds amazing,
if I had not come. So I'm going to be hanging out with a bunch of third graders going into fourth graders, rolling around the skating rink, playing a lot of music actually that like are now oldies that were like songs when I was in my college days, and that's always like oh god, this is like an oldies song. Very, very stressful, but should be a great time for my shortcake, as I call her. All right.
Will they ask you about Kevin Durant?
If anybody, man, you would not like, if I make conversation with the dads, it always goes one of two ways. What do you do? Oh, I'm a sports writer, a podcaster. Oh, what do you cover? NBA. Oh, I don't really watch the NBA. Cool, man. I don't really CPA. I don't care. You don't need to tell me that. I'm not going to tell you I don't like your job. Or they're like, oh, that's awesome. Where's Kevin Durant go? Like, they expect me to know like everything. Like all of it. I'm like, I don't know, man. Probably Houston. I don't know. By the way, if you want more on the Kevin Durant situation, I was on favorites and talked about how to bet it. You can bet the Clippers, by the way, at 50-1. That's a good long shot right now. All right, let's talk big picture NBA Finals Game 6. Sean Little, Thunder come in, and last night I tweeted this in the second quarter, and I was like, oh, they look like the Thunder again. Like this was the team that we all thought we were getting from Game 1, and it took them until Game 5 to find it. Game 4 was not this. Game 2 was not this. This is the first time that they looked like themselves, but man, did they look like themselves. Forced turnovers, created havoc, getting out in transition. J-Dub's killing them. Shea's getting free throws. Chet's doing things. Dort's hitting threes. Shout out Brandon Anderson. So much good stuff. We would have said going into the series, if you told me, hey, they're going to split in OKC, because I didn't think they were splitting in OKC. That's why I thought Thunder in 5. But if you told me, hey, they're going to split in OKC, I'd be like, all right, Pacers get 3, Thunder get 4, Thunder get 5, Pacers get 6, we're going 7. That would have been my prediction. The Haliburton stuff throws a little bit of a wrench into this, but coming off of that Game 5, talking in our pregame, it sounds like you're pretty confident. All right, order's been restored and OKC's winning the title.
Yeah, OKC's been winning the title since the series started. I think you said they haven't looked like themselves. I think they've looked like themselves for maybe 99% of the minutes in OKC. In OKC, I would say, outside of a couple stretches, and especially in the last game where TJ McConnell went berserk. And I would really love to talk about TJ McConnell in that stretch in the third quarter. That was some of my favorite individual basketball I've watched all season long. He legitimately went blow for blow with the entire Thunder roster by himself and could give a shit what happened, who was going to be in the paint. Guys, TJ was going off the dribble at Alex Caruso. like didn't care, could care less. So salute to TJ McConnell in that third quarter. It was awesome to watch. But I think overall, in their building, the Oklahoma City Thunder have looked pretty much like themselves the vast majority of it. Yesterday for Game 5 was no different. And yeah, order is restored. I think all the adjustments. Big Brian Windhorst made a really good point. I think he's like, yo, look, the adjustments are done. I think and Matt Moore, you said this as well. They pulled all the levers they can. Yeah. Now we're back to just who's the best and who can match up better. And I think that's the Thunder through and through. And they continue not to blink. They easily could have gotten a really tough spot in a couple times in that last game. Siakam hits the 3 to get it down to 3 points. And I'm like, man, here we go again. They're in trouble. But when they can't rely on Haliburton to control the pace, the tempo, and just set things up offensively, it's a little clunky. And then the Thunder were able to go down and continue to just apply pressure and get buckets. And Cason Wallace finally showed up from the 3-point line. They took 32 attempts, I believe, from the 3-point line. And they worked on that math problem. Oklahoma City Thunder, for me, right before we hopped on, we talked about just if you're a Pacers believer, you could easily talk your way on the +5 and them pushing this to 7, even the money line, and then we reconvene for a Game 7. And if you're on the Thunder, you could talk yourself into -5 easily with the Haliburton situation, with them defensively, how they've been playing with the closeout. The number's not going to ever be shorter than 5. So either way, you could talk yourself into it. We'll give out some best bets and break them down. But I think this is the Thunder. If the Thunder don't win in Game 6, for me, I'm very interested to see the number in Game 7 in their building to win the title.
Brian Fonseca, I'm going to give you 2 outcomes, 2 possibilities here. Okay. Because I know that the big question on everyone's mind is, well, what's Hallie? Right. And we're not going to be like, I always think these conversations are ridiculous. A trainer once told me that the least favorite thing he told me, he's like, don't ever ask me what percentage a guy is. He's like, they're not meters. They're not robots. I can't tell you that he's like 65.4%. That's not how this works. It's moment to moment. This is muscle and living fiber. And, but we have to talk about it through these kind of things because we're talking about production and impact. I'm going to give you 2 outcomes, 2 possibilities here. Okay. Tyrese Haliburton enters this game at 75%, or he enters this game at 65%. Okay. Do you like OKC in both instances? Do you like OKC in one instance? How does that shape you? 75 versus 65%, Hallie.
75% is what statistically? I think maybe the easier way to do it is to qualify it with he finishes with 15-7, like completely just regular Haliburton performance, right where the points assist number is actually, which is 22.5, like right there.
Okay. I
think when he does it matters.
Okay.
Because if you tell me the majority of that is in the second half, I feel better about Indiana. If you're telling me he starts off hot and then kind of fades and gets figured out as the game goes and they start jumping the passing lanes, then I would like OKC. Because Hallie's had games, and you guys have seen this, he won't do shit in the first half. And then they'll go on a run in the second half, and obviously he's doing a big part in helping engineer that with the passing, with not turning the ball over as a contrast to that, or as a complement to that rather, and then with the scoring being just enough. 15 points probably means 3 threes, couple layups, couple free throws, but that's ultimately what it would be. The process of how we get there matters, but and I don't think Haliburton needs to put up a huge performance because I almost it's almost impossible for him to do against this team, as we've seen. But yeah, I think if it's just an average Haliburton game, I don't feel awesome about it unless you tell me the majority of the production is coming late and that they're not just on the chase from too far back. If they're trailing by 30, then that's probably too much even for the Pacers. But if they're hanging around and it's 10, it's 11, it's 12, it's 9, then it's like Haliburton pops in a 3, Haliburton gets an assist, or on a fast break here. That's sort of how I look at that.
Yeah, here's the thing, is if he's a decoy, I don't think he's effective. That's my problem with a lot of this. Is unless
he could hit shots.
Even then, though, like, think about his release point, okay? About his mechanics on that shot. And I want you to think about him as a spot-up shooter with Lou, Kaysen, Caruso closing.
And
like, that's a recipe for that getting blocked. You know, his ability to hit those threes is he backs up and catches him off guard and hits him versus space. But if you are anticipating that action and closing on him, there's a decent chance he gets blocked.
Well, the question is, what percentage do you think he was at last night? Because Haliburton at 100% is having a hard time with Lou Dort at a pure 100. So if last night was any sort of 75 around that number, I don't see him being too much better than he was last night. I mean, we have 2 full days off, and I hate to speculate on the calf and on the information, but at 100%, Lou Dort is a tough matchup. If he's not anywhere close to 100%, which he most likely will not be, I would have to be in a fading situation, if anything. I'm not taking any Haliburton overs for me. No. That's for sure.
No. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah. I'll tell you, I think last night he was 40%. I think he was 40% last night.
Maybe.
And if you're like, well, why are you expecting me to be better? I'm like, well, he's got 2 full days off. And I've said this on a couple of shows. I said it on the post game. I'll say it again. It is not like, well, he'll come in and do treatment today. No, like he went home, like he did treatment at the arena. They went home. They did treatment in his house. He'll go to sleep. He'll wake up. They'll come to his house. He'll do treatment. He'll go to the arena. He'll do treatment. He'll do treatment during film. They'll fly to OKC, or they'll fly back to Indy, right? He'll get treatment at his house. Like, he will get treatment round the clock. It's massage gun stretching, heat, cold, all sorts of stuff that I don't even know or understand. They will do all of that to try and get him ready for this game 6. And that may not be enough. Like, that just may not be enough for him to be able to do anything. Just in from Shams Charania while we're recording this, Tyrese Haliburton is believed to have suffered a strained right calf and will undergo an MRI to determine the severity of the strain. That doesn't really tell us anything.
Don't like
that. Doesn't really tell us anything, though. Like, if it's a grade 2, they're going to play him and he's not going to be able to do anything. If it's a grade 1, then he's going to play and he's not going to be able to do much. So, like, yeah, this looks like a Thunder spot, which is interesting because, Sean, the market, as I'm about to relate, has been really interesting on this. Okay. This game opened 6 last night. And immediately Indiana gets hit. And it goes down to 5 and 5.5, and then it hits 5, and it touches for like the briefest of moments, it touches 4.5, and then gets back up to 5. This morning, I woke up expecting to see Oklahoma City had taken money and it was going back up. And it had, and when I was doing the favorites, it was trending back towards OKC 5.5.
It's 6 now.
Off of that report, it moves to 6 here. There are groups that are fighting over this number, and we don't see this in NBA a lot. We see it in NFL a ton. It is very apparent that we get a group that's basically like 6 is my buy point for Indiana, and we got groups that are saying Tyrese Haliburton is effed, and 5.5 is a buy point for us at this number, and they are fighting over it. Now, maybe this flips the other way, and this jumps up to 6, 6.5, 7. I'm not going to want. I am with Sean in this regard that luckily for me, like, I gave out Thunder to win from behind in the series 20-1. If you tailed that, you're in a great position here. We can bet Thunder with abandon because we've got OKC, we got Thunder at 20 or Pacers at 20-1 effectively in a game 7 if they win, and you could hedge again. So you can win, you can clear your money on Pacers to win from behind in this game, and then you'll have to eat into a little bit of your profit in game 7 by hedging with OKC in that game, which is still a very good spot for them. Obviously the news isn't great. It is moving 6 now. There's still a 5 in the market, and what's funny is the 5 is underjuiced, but that's probably going to be gone here within the next couple of minutes. 58% of the tickets are on Indiana, 63% of the money. Again, we're fighting over this number. So maybe this report is just gonna move it completely to 6, 6.5, but I wouldn't be surprised if this moves 6.5, and then we see another move back towards 6, 5.5, Sean, because it does look like there's a buy point where somebody somewhere wants Pacers at anything over 5.5.
Yeah, this is typically one of those battles over whose information or where they're getting information from, whose information they actually truly believe in with the Haliburton situation. It's purely a number. Okay, let's go back to just when you're approaching, I think, the board in general.
Okay.
You either, for example, our guy Fiddle is really dialed in on the market and movement and essentially bases a lot of his opinion just on market moves and why he believes the market moved and kind of tries to solve the puzzle that way. Or you can take all the information before tip, couple hours before, and then decide why you believe the market moved in said direction and which side you would be on. For this situation, I think the best opportunity or the best advice for me would be just to wait until you get final confirmation on what is being said about Haliburton, because 5.5 and 6.5 isn't that big a difference when we're talking 2 full possessions versus not, but we're talking about a closeout game in the finals. So it's not a regular season game where I would approach it as, oh, that's 2 full possessions that I'll take, and I'll blindly take the Pacers in the spot because it's pushing 2 full possessions. I would much rather wait, get as much information as I can with the market moves going back and forth. You can go on Action Network and see the spread where times where it went up and down. You could correlate it with what information is being released, and then you can kind of decide what side you want to actually print a ticket on. But yeah, I could see there's being a lot of conflicting groups going back and forth on a number at 4.5 and 6.5 is a big difference in a closeout game in Game 6 with how much we've seen of these two teams. And I don't see too many adjustments coming. They're going to go out there and they're going to play Pacer or try to play Pacer ball in their building, just like they have for a vast majority of the series. So that's my 2 cents on the market movement. It's very difficult. You're really grasping at straws with a lot of incomplete information. I would just wait if you're looking to take a side and then figure out what you want to do from there.
OKC's likely to take that late money again. That seems the most likely situation. So look, if you want Indy, let this simmer. Just let it simmer and keep getting bet. The 5 moved to 6, a full point jump at one book. I'm watching the market, the numbers move on the screen.
Same.
There's a -6 juiced right now in the market. There's a +5 juiced in the market. And like a lot of this, think about this is I think is the 4. It's a lot more important, I think, on 4 versus 4.5. If you're down 4 inside 10 seconds, you're still going to foul. If you're down 6 inside 10 seconds, you might let it run out. Like that's a spot where you might let it run out, and 5, I think, is in the middle. Like that's very just dependent on like what the play sequence is and what the call out is. They might just let it run out. So like but you have to be in that close of a situation. I want to do trends and then we'll hit the best bets. So I want to know closeout game 3 or game 6. Team is up, chance to close out on the road and is a road favorite, because we've talked a lot about this, about how directionally the market has been correct on these moves. For the entire playoffs, game 6, chance to close out as a road favorite. 31-11 straight up. 28-14, 67% against the spread. Very notably, the under in those spots is 24-16-2, 60% on the total for the under. But that's for the whole playoff. So I was like, all right, what happens when we start getting later in the rounds? Second round on, we're still at 12-6. Our ATS number goes to 10-8, still 56%. We're still at 60 or 58% on the under. Let's go to conference finals or finals. This is like where the rubber meets the road. 5-1 straight up, 5-1 against the spread, 3-3 on the over under. In the finals, up 3-2, chance to close out since 2003 as a road favorite. 2-0, 2-0, 1-1 on the under. So the under is definitely much more of a first round play in these spots. We lose steam, we lose value every round that we go up. I still lean a little bit towards the under, GCB 4180 in our chat says the over-under has moved some too. On my book, it's 223.5. That number is in fact down from 224.5. We were seeing only moves over. There's a 222.5 in the market. We are if this touches 222, I'm going to have to play an over spot at least on OKC team total. Because that to me is probably the best situation there. So those are the trends. The trends directionally say that the market has been correct. That if they're a road favorite, they win, they cover, they take care of business. And this makes sense, right? It was divisive for a little while, but the better team wins out. If you can't land the knockout punch as that dog inside 5 games, you missed your chance. And now we're to game 6 and the adjustments are over. And as Sean was talking about, better team's going to come out ahead. Before we do best bets, I want to talk to you about Tommy John's, because we mentioned at the top of the show that we're coming to you from our Tommy John home studios, and that's because great games starts with great underwear. Tommy John makes the greatest. It's hot out. It's hot out. You want the important equipment to have good breathability, comfort, and stability, and that is what Tommy John's going to provide for you. When you're truly comfortable, you do everything better, and that includes betting. If you love the Buckets podcast, you love our guys, you're going to love Tommy John. Get 25% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/buckets. I'm challenging each and every listener. Go look at the website and see if you don't find something that looks like you might would want to wear it. T-shirt, pajama pants, underwear. Go check it out. 25% off your first order at TommyJohn.com/buckets. In a little bit, we're going to give out our Tommy John Ballsy parlay. I also want to tell you about Underdog. Underdog is one of the best places to make picks during playoff basketball while they score buckets. You could score cash. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps, and you can play right now in your state. Their app has over 100,000 5-star reviews and millions of players. To play, all you have to do is download the app and choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats. You can choose from things like points, assists, and so much more. And once your picks feel good, you can play with as little as $1. And if you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. They've got WNBA picks. Go listen to WNBA buckets. Take those picks and you can play them on Underdog. Download the Underdog app and sign up with promo code BUCKETS100 to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code BUCKETS100. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. And in New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Time for best bets for Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Sean Little, we're going to go around the horn. What are your bets for Game 6?
Isaiah Hartenstein under 5.5 points, minus 120 I see in the market. And I'm going to take Pascal Siakam over 20.5 points, minus 110.
All right, Brian Pasecca, what do you want?
Also on Siakam over 20.5 points. Also going to take Tyrese Haliburton under 7.5 assists and Thunder money line, which I got at minus 195.
Consensus has just moved to 6.5 in the market while we're recording live.
Jesus.
We've moved a point
5.5 or 5 when I played it. 5.5.
We've moved a 1.5 off of the Haliburton news. That seems excessive to me because we knew that, like, did you think? Like, we knew 2 things before this show. He has a calf injury, probably like in the muscle, and he was going to play in Game 6 because Carlisle said he's going to play in Game 6, and there's like no way he's not going to play.
Yeah, and he mentioned that in the postgame. I think that's really interesting point that I want to touch on really quick because you see this all the time in sports betting. They could show a video of Tyrese Haliburton's ankle hanging off his foot, and some people still will not act on that number that's on the board, and it will not move. It'll be like a halfway move until it's officially announced. There's been so many times where if you just have a little bit of gamble and try to get out in front of injury reports, you know deep down we knew he was dealing with a calf, just like Matt Moore said. We knew he wouldn't be 100%. You would think. So I think sometimes it's worth a gamble to go out and take the 5 instead of losing a 1.5 waiting on Shams to confirm that if you wanted to bet and were thinking about betting Oklahoma City in this spot. So sometimes you just got to get out in front before the official report comes out, because you have your own eyes and you can divulge your own opinion on what he's going to be dealing with before it gets confirmed and the number moves. But the number will always be in between until it gets officially reported. But we knew the deal.
There's a 7.
7 in
out
the
there.
market. Yep.
Yeah, there's a
There's
7
that. There's a
at a
7.
very, very, very prominent book.
Okay, if this gets 8, if this gets 8, I'm middling.
You're gonna have to take Pacers, right?
I'm in the middle at 8. That's maybe won't touch it, but God, it's moving. We've already got 2 points of movement off of a report that I was expecting today, which is like he's got a calf strain. He'll undergo an MRI. He's expected to play.
Matt, why middle at 8 though? If you lock in a phenomenal number at 5, you still have the opportunity to potentially watch it live. But you still get a look. You'll still be able to get a look at how Haliburton looks live, and then you can decide there. Why jam yourself and box yourself in when you got the damn near the best number that was ever available on the market? You know what I mean? That's my opinion on that.
I get it, but for me, it's just like, look, if the market provides an opportunity that if I don't think the number is right, then that bet has value. I don't have to bet it, to your point, right? Like, I can think that that's not the good number, but I think that this line moving, if this line moves 3 points off of a player I still expect to play when I've already gotten the positions that I did, then I'm going to come back in on Indy. Like, that to me is at least as a bet worth making, at least to add to my position, because I've got this thing 700 different ways. And maybe the better angle is just props, right? I don't think it's necessarily Haliburton, but it's probably just, I don't know. Let's talk about Pascal Siakam, since you both like him, because that's a good angle to kind of approach it as if you want to go the other way. All right, let's start with Brian. Why do you want Siakam over 20.5?
So he's the guy that consistently gets shots up, and he's the guy that consistently gets points up in the series for Indiana. Like, he's gone over in most of these games and in 3 straight, because he was at 19.5 when he got to 20 a couple games ago. So field goal attempts, 14 plus every single game, except for one where he had 11. That game he had 15. That was the miserable game 2 performance, not for him specifically, but for the entire team, where OKC got their leg back after game 1, where they just blew it in the end. And that was sort of a one-off type of deal. But if you look at Siakam, 14 attempts from the field every single game, at least 15 and 3 of them, actually. His last 2, 15 and 15, and in game 1 also at 15. He's putting up more threes as the season progressed. So he put up 8 threes total across the first 3 games in this series, and it's at 12 in just the last 2, 6 and 6. And he's making those 2 and 3. So, 5 for 12, which is a pretty good 3-point percentage, all things considered. And then he's getting to the free throw line too, because he has been aggressive. Like, the attack is just a variety of different things. It's drives, it's transition, it's spotting up and shooting threes, it's taking advantage if the mid-range is there. But he's getting into the paint consistently against OKC when people don't do that. He's at 6 free throw attempts at least in every game this series, 8 in each of the last 2. And I think with Siakam, not with Siakam, with Haliburton limited, we're anticipating he's going to be limited, that Siakam has to go over. Like, he has to, otherwise Indy has no shot. And you can fight back and say, hey, the Thunder could just win by 30, so no, he doesn't have to necessarily. But I think you know what I mean by that. Like, Siakam's going to have to take a ton of the workload offensively, and he probably was going to regardless, whether or not Tyrese Haliburton was 100% or not. So,
okay, Sean, anything to add on to that one for why you want Siakam?
Yeah, I want to retweet a lot of what Fonseca said, but I'm not going to overthink this. This is the guy offensively that has the best matchup for the Pacers, especially in the half court, and he's their ace in transition. So if you've been watching the series, like I know everybody listening has been, who's the guy that could get a bucket in his matchup on any possession most consistently? It's Pascal Siakam.
Yep.
We just saw it in the previous game when Haliburton was completely shut off. The guy had no field goals. He was a complete zero dealing with the calf in the last game. And the guy that's going to go at people outside of our boy TJ McConnell is Pascal Siakam. He's the guy that can get it on the nail. He can get it on the block. He can go to work. He can do his thing. He's a guy purely on a matchup perspective that can rise up and pull up and shoot a jumper over some of these guys. He has shown over and over in this series that he'll take advantage of mismatches and go to the cup and be physical. I just trust Pascal to get shots up, as Fonseca mentioned, and he's had success doing so. So I'm not going to overthink it. If Tyrese Haliburton is hampered in any way, and I believe that he is, Pascal Siakam is going to get plenty of looks. I think this is a really good spot, potentially to get a lot of looks at the line. I'll say going back home and being physical. This is I really like this spot for Pascal. With Haliburton on the floor, I like it. Without Haliburton on the floor, I like it. I think he gets a lot of volume, a lot of looks, and he's just their most efficient matchup, I believe, in the series in its entirety.
It's moving to 21.5, but there's a 20.5 still in the market. So,
Okay.
and that's the number that we got.
Haliburton's assists are still at 7.5.
They probably think, what else is he going to do?
How do you move this line 2 points and his assist total has moved 8 cents? Never mind. I said that. And it dropped 12, it dropped 12 cents in the books I'm looking at. I'll still give this one out. If you catch this number at 6.5, you can still bet it. It's less than a unit. A unit is probably worth it at 7.5. That's a best bet for me. Look, Haliburton in this series is not able to create assists generally. He's had a couple of games of his usual like double-digit performance, but he is the biggest thing for me is just like, look, they figured out how to switch against him. They figured out the importance of staying home. They're not over helping. The Thunder are getting better at defending Tyrese Haliburton. You're out of adjustments. There's not a lot else you can do. He's got a bad calf. You want to know what the best way to counter, like the way that they're guarding him, is to have burst to beat that initial defender and then force help. He's not going to be able to do that with a bad calf. So, like, you're talking about either him being a secondary playmaker standing alone on the wing unguarded. Does that sound like what's going to happen? Like, are they going to not guard Tyrese? No, they're going to be there. Or you're talking about him trying to create in transition as an assist creator when he can't run. Under 7.5 assists has to be a play. Like until they move this to 6.5, this has to be a play, even at the minus 152 I'm seeing in the market. Go get the best number, but 7.5 is absolutely a play. If you're listening to this on the podcast, if it's 6.5, it's less than a unit because you've lost all the value. But we bet it last night at 7.5 when we were live on buckets. Sean, let's go back to you. Let's talk Hartenstein under 5.5 points.
Yeah, I love this spot for Isaiah Hartenstein. If you've been watching this series, the guy refuses to look at the rim. He's not interested in looking at the basket whatsoever. He's been looking to screen for guys. He's been looking to play defense. He's been looking to rebound. He's been looking to create off screen. He's been looking to get the ball in the paint to find other guys that are open. He absolutely has not glanced at the rim whatsoever. If you go back to game one, he's gone under this total in the last 4 games. If you go back to game one, he scored 9 points. What do we know about game one? He didn't start. That was the wrinkle that Dagnall went with. Cason Wallace gets the start. He was 3 of 5 from the floor. All 3 buckets are against Thomas Bryant. You can go back and watch him at NBA.com. He was killing Thomas Bryant.
That's true.
What's the change? Isaiah Hartenstein's back in the starting lineup. He's not going to see as much of Thomas Bryant anymore. Those opportunities are not going to be there. If he scored in the game last night, he scores the opening bucket on a punch. He scores 2 points after that. And every other bucket, if you look throughout the game by game, you can go through and watch every shot attempt from Isaiah Hartenstein. They've been a lot of ball bouncing around. It falls in his lap and he lays it back up, or a putback. If we can avoid 3 of those, the Isaiah Hartenstein that I remember with the Knicks and earlier this season took a lot more floaters. In this matchup, he hasn't done that. He is not looking at the rim to score whatsoever. If we can avoid a couple putbacks that are a little fluky, I really like this spot for Isaiah Hartenstein. He's not looking to score. He's not looking to attempt from the floor. He's not going to see a lot of Thomas Bryant.
I still kind of like points, rebounds, assists on the over. Just take the combined number, and it gets you all the way there. I don't mind playing, honestly, both of these, and we'll talk about another one I'm interested in here in a second. That's kind of a combo of this. I agree with you on the floaters. I agree with you on the Thomas Bryant. I agree with you on the cap on the points. The only issue is just like you're at this low number. You are at risk of random buckets, 2 free throws, a bucket, and then another random bucket, and you're there, right? So it's tight, but I don't mind playing just the points. I do like his rebounds and assist opportunities though, because I do think he's going to continue to play. I think they figured out the rotation that they need, and it does include Hartenstein.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he had 7 assists the last 2 games. He's been. We talked about this. I want to say we've the bucket squad has been way ahead of the curve on how important he is on offense. Picking, screening, creating, passing off of said screen. He has been very good at that part of his game for a couple of years now, and people don't respect it or don't realize, but he helps on offense quite a bit. So, yeah. So he's so good on offense. I'm taking the under on points.
That's good. Yeah, exactly. No, I like it. The plus sevens got hit, Brian. That's gone. It's off the board. They're coming back in on Indy. That now we're seeing plus 6.5 juiced. I'm telling you, to me, it looks like you have at least 2 sides, if not 2 groups that are fighting over this.
They're fighting over this.
Again, if you want to be like, well, isn't this just the public? No, the public's not going to move it. The public can hammer OKC all they want, and they're not going to give the Sharps a plus 7.5 to hit on Indy. Yep. They are fighting over this number 6.5, 7 now. And we'll see if they want it back at 6 or not.
I didn't think it was going to get to 8 for what it's worth. Like that
man can dream.
That would have stuck. But I mean, look, we've talked consistently about late money OKC being a thing. So we're still 48 plus hours away from tip off, and there probably will be some sort of update on Haliburton before then.
So yeah, we'll get one from Shams pregame. We'll get one from Shams tomorrow on Inside the NBA. Or no, was it?
Countdown.
Not count. Well, but
Sports
then
Center.
The afternoon show with Malika. I'm blanking on the name of it.
Formerly the Jump. What's it called now?
I forget. That's the point.
Damn,
that's bad. That's how rarely I watch it.
I know this too.
But Countdown, they'll hit it again, and it'll be either he's expected to play or he'll be a game time. Just like I would doubt on it being helpful. The money line's interesting too here, guys. So this was 200 when we started this show, and I was ready to give out Thunder minus 200. It jumped to 270. We're back to 250. There's a 240 in the market. Like
NBA Today.
NBA Today. Thank you. And so there's a 260 in the market on OKC. So this is annoying. There's a minus 260 plus 210. Your best price on Indy right now is 235. There's a 235 in the market on money line. This is the one where if you want to bet Indy to win this game, wait. Because the odds are that Thunder gets hit sometime in the next 2 days as more updates come out in Hallie. They get hit pregame. I do not think this is the best number you're going to get Indy at. If you want OKC, I think you maybe got a day. I think you would, like, we're recording this on Tuesday. If you're listening to this on Wednesday, go check the number and see if the Sharps have come back in and hit Pacers money line. And if this gets back down to 220, I'd probably bet OKC, but I don't think we're going to see that number again. I think we're going to be stuck at between 230 and 260 for at least the next day or so. Sound right, Brian?
Yeah.
And we can't give out. Are you with? I don't want to give out Thunder money line as a best bet after the move.
Yeah, because I took it before minus 195 is long gone at this point. So basically, but my thinking was if it got better than minus 200, I was like, okay, fine. Here's my spot to hedge some of the Pacers stuff that I'm on.
Yeah, there was a minus one. There was a minus 190 for about 10 minutes last night.
Yeah. And actually today, even before the update on Tyrese Haliburton, but can't really give it out anymore. There is a comment I think is worth getting to, but we're probably saving for open run after, or no? Should we?
Hit me.
The Mathurin one. Nicholas there. I think
Yeah,
this is
Nico
worth talking about.
Zampacco says, how do people feel about Mathurin?
I think this is worth talking about because if we're worried about Indiana being able to score and we're worried about Tyrese Haliburton just overall from a health standpoint, and Rick Carlisle keeps putting Ben Mathurin out there. It's like his points prop, I'm seeing it at 9.5 and 10.5, 10.5 plus money, obviously. So it's basically like, can you see Ben Mathurin just getting 10 points? And is he going to be in a spot where Carlisle's like, I need someone who can create a shot? So Ben Mathurin plays 20 something minutes. I kind of don't mind the play. And I might like the play, as a matter of fact. But
They
I
don't
want to
have
talk it out a
anybody
little bit.
else. They got nobody else that can create off dribble. I don't think you can't ask Ben Shepherd to do it. You just can't do that. They got nobody else. It's Nemhard. It's McConnell. It's Mathurin.
Nick, I might be with you. Or Nico, I guess. Might be.
So,
Let us
Sean,
know
what are
in
your
the
thoughts on?
comments.
You have any thoughts on Mathurin, Sean?
Yeah, I looked at the number. I was interested to see what it was. I would say Mathurin is maybe their third best scorer on the team.
Yeah,
I could argue.
Yeah.
In a lot of different ways. So I really the Haliburton thing really changes so much, of course. I mean, he's been a different dude at home in the field house. He's played really well, but there's going to be is there going to be a time where all right, he's not healthy enough to play. So we're going to sit him and give TJ those minutes or give Mathurin more minutes. There's big question marks here. So I wouldn't be on a Mathurin under. That's what I would say. I haven't printed the ticket on an over, but if I'm printing anything, it would be Mathurin over just because he is a bucket. I think part of the reason that it's so ebb and flow with him is because the consistency hasn't been there throughout the series, like rotationally wise. So naturally that creates spots where players press. You know who you see this with a lot? Kaminga. It's like, oh shit, I'm playing? What do I do? You know what I'm saying? Or he acts frantic on the floor and you see that type of behavior. I think that similarly that can happen here with Mathurin in a couple different spots this series. But offensively, I believe in his game. I think he could play. If you want to go way back in the buckets folder, I took Mathurin to win 6th man of the year a couple years ago. Yeah. Before that, the season he came in and got hurt. So I believe in Mathurin. I like his game. Offensively, he can play, but it is helter skelter. I would look over or nothing.
Here's the other thing I want to add too, because it feels like we should be talking about Nemhard then, but Mathurin has a level of physicality and just on the ball juice against.
He gets to the line too.
He gets to the line, and Nemhard's also at 10.5 at 9.5. There's a 9.5 out there for Nemhard, but as much as I love Andrew Nemhard, OKC has a lot of guys that could throw on him that they can't quite throw on Mathurin, who's a little bit bigger and stronger. Matt, you wanted to jump in. It looks like.
Yeah, I got something here.
Oh boy.
His field goal attempted line is 7.5, and he's averaging 7.4 with Hallie at full usage.
Mathurin's
at 7.5, and he's averaging 7.4 with Hallie at full usage. His free throw number is 4.5, with him averaging 4.4 at full Hallie usage. So, don't go in on the points because OKC may blank him, but he's going to keep shooting. Then he's not going down without a fight.
I think I'm taking the points still.
Okay.
I take both. I like both. I mean, what are the options? Again, this is why we like Siakam, though, because he's bigger and stronger than a lot of the guys on the Pacers in terms of creating his own shot. This is why in this spot, as much as I love Nemhard, this hasn't really been the series for Nemhard offensively. Yep. Mathurin's been inefficient, but he's big, he's physical, he'll get downhill and he can get his shot off, even though he might go 2 for 11. But he'll try his hardest.
I want to talk about this one just as a fun one, then we'll do our ballsy parlay. Holmgren's gone under on points and assists in 4 of the 5 games, 4 straight. Holmgren's gone over on rebounds and assists in the last 3. straight since Hartenstein started playing more because he rebounds at a higher rate with Isaiah on the floor. Those are cross-correlated, obviously. It's inverse correlation. I like the Thunder team total over at this reduced figure. If you do Holmgren under 16.5 points and assists, Holmgren over 10.5 assists and rebounds, and over 114.5 for OKC, it's plus 750. They score. Chet doesn't score. Chet does all the other stuff. That gets you there. I like it. I might play it. I'm not saying I'm going to. It's not best bet.
Can I throw one more at you because we're getting it in the comments? TJ McConnell, who we should mention. McConnell's been so great in the playoffs, just Fred says, and JS says, I trust McConnell more, but Mathurin isn't a bad option. So this is interesting. One book, these are both like books, like prominent books that you guys probably use. TJ McConnell's PRA is all over the place. On one of the more prominent books, it's 18.5. On another one, it's 16.5. And then there's another one where it's 17.5 in the middle. And I feel like that's 16.5. These are all like even money, by the way, which is crazy. But maybe one book just hasn't quite adjusted to the Haliburton news, or they feel like they don't want to, or maybe they don't think it impacts it. I don't know. But there's a 16.5 for PRA for McConnell out there right now. And Hayden Burnett in the comments is saying 25 plus PRA is plus 825. If you want to like really go in on McConnell, like, do we think, and this could be independent if Tyrese Haliburton is, healthy, whatever, but do we think this is a McConnell spot potentially, even more so than Mathurin, who we just talked about?
I do not. I'll let you guys, I'll let Sean give his thoughts. TJ's amazing. TJ's awesome. TJ does all these things that you love, but they're all chaotic, random, miscellaneous plays. If this is a half-court affair, this is still a nightmare for him. His ability to succeed in this matchup has been based off of like breakdowns by OKC, chaotic sequences, random runs, and like I hear Sean, like I see Sean kind of tilting his head. I'm just telling you, like the half-court stuff for him isn't good from a matchup perspective. He's really good at making an impact anyway, and that's what your six man should do. But especially because, and this is a number I do want to throw out here because I think it's a big way for me to bet this series or this game. Okay, the Pacers offense is 8 points worse without Haliburton. That makes sense, right? Like they can't score without Tyrese on the floor. Their defense is 4 points better with Hallie on the court than off. Their defense gets worse when Haliburton's not on the floor because it creates more chaotic kind of situations. So OKC is able to score. And the more OKC scores, the more they get to set their defense. And McConnell gets to go into those, has to go into those set half court sets defensively for OKC. Sean, give me the belief and love in TJ McConnell. The
Great White Hope plus 825, 25 plus PRA, all points. No, I think look, I mean Matt's right. And earlier in the playoffs, I faded TJ McConnell on points. I think it was 8.5 at some point in the conference finals, purely off of this can't continue to happen. What he's doing off the dribble, going to the basket, finishing on through contact, reverse layups. I will say in the third quarter in game 5, some of that stuff in the third quarter was in the half court. He was getting to the paint and rising and pulling up on guys. He went baseline on AC and essentially bodied him and laid it up without a contest from Caruso. Alex Caruso contests everything. So he was having his way in the third quarter.
He was caught off guard.
But mostly what Matt is saying is correct. I'm not trusting. We're not clearing out in the half court with TJ McConnell at the top of the key and feeling very confident about what he's going to be able to do. So, yeah, just Fred, he was out of his mind in the third. He's right. That's exactly what I saw as well. But I'm not itching to play McConnell in a multitude of ways in this spot. I will say there was a time in the game 5 down the stretch, where I was like, I think TJ should be getting some of these Haliburton minutes down the stretch, just from how he played in the third. Haliburton was hampered, and he didn't really get those minutes to close. But could he play a bunch of minutes in this game? Maybe. It all depends on what Haliburton does. But I think the 16.5, if you can find that, and you're seeing 18.5 PRA in the market, and you want to get behind TJ, find the best number, and I think you'll be scratching in. You'll be right in the realm of 16.5 PRA, I think, with TJ McConnell.
As we've been talking about it, his points assists, it was 13.5 when we started at that book that I mentioned.
Yeah.
And now it's 15.5. They took it down.
A little bucket.
And they just brought it back. And it moved 2 points. I
It's
don't
a
know
good
if y'all
fund.
are watching this, but that should move 2 points assists. 2 points assists. The PRA might have moved too. So I think they're on to you guys in the chat.
Sean, I want to ask you, because you're the most confident here in OKC. Is the better play an OKC alt or laying the juice on the money line? What I'm asking you is, I'm so confident in the Thunder, I think they smash here, or look, they might not cover, but they're winning this fucking game.
I would play an alt before I laid 230 or 235 for sure. I do have, as much as I love the Thunder, I do have respect for the Pacers and what they've been doing. They didn't have their best player at 100%. He had no field goals. It was a 3-point game.
Yep.
In the second half.
They had that moment.
Like
they
they really had a stretch where
we were all like, are they gonna fucking do this again?
Yes, everybody across America said that. And the Oklahoma City Thunder didn't blink. They haven't blinked in many spots throughout this playoff run. And a lot of that was because Jalen Williams was uber fucking aggressive. He finishes so well with his left hand, you would think he was left-handed. He almost searches out left-hand layups, and he's a right-handed, strong, dominant shooter when he's shooting jump shots. So he was just relentless in a lot of spots. But yeah, I would play. I think minus 230 is way too expensive to lay on the money line in this game, because it's going to be a grind with Haliburton in there or not. But I would only bet the Thunder here, because that's where I'm at on the series. I think it was 6 or less. And I don't have how about this? Overall, I don't have a ticket. I woke up this morning and saw a 5 and knew about Haliburton. And I typically get out in front of injury reports, and I didn't print a slip on the Thunder minus 5. That's the answer to your question. So I would play alts before I played the money line at minus 200 or above.
The funniest outcome here is going to be that the Pacers win this game with Haliburton not even able to play. And then the Thunder wax them in game 7. So I don't get home on Pacers to come from behind 20-1. I don't get home on Pacers in 6 plus 390. I don't get the Thunder in 6 play that I gave out on the favorites that I have to hedge painfully with the Thunder is like 10.5 point favorites, 11, 12 point favorites at home in game 7, and just have to eat it. That's going to be a fun one. I will, by the way, mention this though. If past the second round, when a team has been up 3-2 and closed, there's been 5 times, 5 and 1. The ATS margin is 12.7. The average margin of victory is 17 points. So conference finals or finals, road favorite closes it out. It's been blowouts. There's been 130-103 Suns over Clippers, 106-93 Lakers over Heat, 113-87 Cavs over Raptors in 2016 in the LeBronto year. Warriors closed in the finals in 2016. I'm sorry, in 2015. Yeah, not 16. 2015, they closed 105-97. That one was only 8, so that was a little bit closer, but the line was only 4. And then the Spurs clocked the Mavericks in 2002, 90-78. Our Tommy John ballsy parlay of this game is going to be an assist combo with OKC. Haliburton under 7.5, Siakam over 3.5 assists. So Haliburton can't pass, can't create, struggles, under 7.5. Siakam's actually going over this pretty consistently on the assist line. This is like pretty surprising to me that Siakam's been this much of a creator. But he's been gone over in 4 of the 5 games at on his assist prop line. So we're going to put that one in at over 3.5. Thunder money line. That one's now, we're going to lose some money on this because the Thunder money line's moved. And Jalen Williams over 4.5 assists because by God, we're going out with the official prop of the 2025 NBA playoffs for buckets. That's going to do it. Appreciate you guys being with us. Great crowd today. Appreciate your comments. My thanks to Brian Fonseca and Sean Little for helping me out on short notice. We'll be back on Thursday, 6:30 Eastern with a live show. We do have some content coming for you from Brandon Anderson and Jim Turvey, big picture views at some stuff about the league and where it's headed. Be on the lookout for that in the podcast feed. Make sure to give us a like, rate, review, subscribe, all those fun things. My thanks to David Payne for his help producing this episode. We'll see you guys again next time. Until then, let's get buckets.